it's possible. And so we got to find a way to do that more. And so that emphasis will never go away. We talk about takeaways equal victories, 3 straight games that we finished with a takeaway defensively, which is, I don't want to minimize that because that's a big deal. But in any event, we got to come up with more drives for our offense by us creating them in that takeaway category.
Alex, are you subbing as much as you would like to?
No, we're not. We're not. And then some of the messages to the guys, just as the stakes get higher and you get into the month of November, and we're in the business of competing for a championship now. So I mean, your level of play needs to match. To say it's going to exceed the first group, that would turn you into a one. But in any event, if there's any lack of or a dip in production or a dip from a trust standpoint, this isn't the time. The tryouts are over. And I think there's some guys that have really taken advantage of the opportunities they've had over the course of the year, and there's some guys that haven't. And so, no, I think it speaks to some of the depth concerns that we have. But in any event, that's more off-season talk. But in any event, no, we'd like to rotate more.
But does that matter as much when you're on the field 45 plays?
Well, you know what? It's funny because you look up and you don't even really realize in the moment you're so locked in to just find a way to get a stop in the next drive. I'd be lying to you if I knew what the play count was, but no, certainly that and to suggest that's going to be your normal Saturday, that's inaccurate. But found a way to get a few 3 and outs in there, and obviously obviously a great job running the football. So no, I don't think that's all of a sudden the new norm.
OSU's offense, you got one game with Drew Brown of film. How's it changed?
Well,
that you can tell so far.
Sure, I think that obviously you're talking about that elite tailback, and that's where it all starts. And I think back to my time at previous play, seeing like a McCaffrey, where just every time he touches the football, you hold your breath, both in the pass game and in the run game. And so I think it's an 11 personnel based set, or an offense, the use of the tight ends, the use of multitude of formations. To spring, both in the run game and then catch a nap in the pass game. They're still taking shots, still athletic in the backfield, and so, no, does it change a whole lot? I don't see it. Again, it's only a 1-game study, so in any event, you better have eyes on 30 and also make sure you stay on top in coverage.
Looking back at Saturday's game, what did you think about how Caleb Kelly performed? And what can that mean for y'all moving forward?
Well, I was excited to get him out there. We made a point. I think I mentioned on Saturday night. We made a point to get him in early, and we'll continue to look like or approach it that way. So many practices well this week, which he will. I think he's in the 11 plays, which again, and we are talking about the rep count being low. That percentage-wise might be realistic, but again, 20, 25 reps or so. I mean, I think that helps us. I think he's playing fast. I think you see some physicalness in practice. That's going to obviously translate to the game, and he did good when he was in there. I mean, you number one, you don't notice the issues. Then number two, we talk about that. The more guys we rotate, the better off we'll be. So I'm excited to have him out there, and I think too. I think a guy the other players respect, and so no, I mean it's a start, but it's an important one for us moving forward.
You said Hubbard makes you hold your breath.
Like Chuba Hubbard, obviously your eyes, linebackers always got to be there. But how much emphasis do you put on, I guess, game tackling? Because everybody's got to be there.
Well, and that's it. I mean, to think that you're going to make a living in one-on-one situations, the film suggests that you're not. So it's all hands on deck. You got to make sure that from a pursuit standpoint, there's a gap of responsibility. There's a coverage responsibility that there could be a man principle that way. But once the play's established, and regardless of ball carrier, but specific to him, once the play's established, there's no longer a gap. There's no longer a man. There's 11 guys that better be running the football for us to have any type of success on Saturday night. And so, but. On the same note, there's situations where when your number's called, you got to be the guy. You got to be the dude out there, and know that the rest of the posse's coming, and that's the responsibility of the other 10 guys when those situations present themselves.
How are they different without Tylan Wallace?
I still, direct the ball to 17 and still throwing the ball downfield again. And believe me, I have a lot of respect for him. I mean, dynamic playmaker, man, and he's in the elite category. Obviously, it affects them. That's a question for them in terms of how much. But no, still, I think dynamic in the pass game, and they certainly do enough to keep you honest. Where you can't say that let's put 11 guys on the line of scrimmage to stop one guy. They're too explosive on the outside to allow that to happen.
Where specifically can you see the difference between Drew Brown and the offense with Spencer Sanders?
Again, a small study. I think in terms of the actual plays being ran, it looks very similar. As many maybe designed quarterback runs, but again, so much of it's based on reads. So a read option scheme or zone read scheme. So it's tough to say that was by play call. As opposed to what the presentation of the offense was. But I think that would be, again, early on, we'll see how they attack us. And certainly enough to keep you honest. And I still see an athlete in the backfield.
Alex, we asked you about rivalries over the Texas week. Do you sense that same rivalry week this week?
Well, I do. I think anytime you play an in-state team, and to suggest again a year into this thing, my head's been underwater in a lot of ways, in so many ways as we try to build this thing. But so to suggest I understand the history of it yet, that I'm not going to pretend like I do, except for the standpoint. It's a quality football team. Up north, and I know I certainly when you hear Bedlam, I've seen this one a lot. I'm excited to be part of it.
So the term Bedlam is something Washington, Ohio, wherever.
That's right.
You know
without question, and so they respect this rivalry through and through.
When you were at Mizzou, you probably played against Oklahoma State a few times, didn't you?
Yeah, Well, I did a bowl game, so
Yeah.
when I was a graduate assistant, just the way the North and South worked, we missed
yeah.
them, and then when we were the SEC representative in the Cotton Bowl, and they were, I believe it was the 14 Cotton Bowl 2013 season, so
Yeah.
Ran into there, but obviously I've seen them over the years.
I'm just wondering how you've seen them change offensively through the years.
Well, and again, I'll go back to that 14 Cotton Bowl again after the 2013 season. I mean, that was a dogfight to the end. Again, you saw spread offense, elite playmakers on that, looking for explosive plays, finding ways to get it explosive both in the run game and the pass game. And so, no, they've been doing it for several years in terms of running an elite offense.
Alex, you mentioned something the other day on Saturday about, I think we were talking about the 3-and-out turnover deal,
Yep.
and you said you showed the team power balls.
Oh yeah, well,
And I just-
yeah.
I-
All I was, over the course of the week, I was just rounding off scores. 24-7, 5 to go in the third. 10-9, 4 minutes into the 21-0. And so over the course of the week was doing that, and we showed some NFL film along the way. There's a scoreboard of, I think it was the Seahawks versus the Seahawks, maybe it was San Francisco or don't quote me, but in any event, we were going through some, okay, what's the score? What's it matter? And rattling off numbers. And my point to them is if your initial reaction when I say 24-7, you're going to say who's winning, then you don't get it. You don't get it. That's if I say 14-0 and you say, well, are we winning, coach? And you don't understand what we're talking about, regardless of what the scoreboard reads. There's just numbers. We'll tell you the score at the end of the game. And again, I guess I'm trying to get cute or something. I just rattle
No,
off
I just
Powerball
wanted to
numbers.
make sure.
Because my point to them was it's just as arbitrary as anything else. It's just numbers. It doesn't affect whether or not you
Like
need to
power
get.
balls, just coming through random.
That's it. And so I looked at the last 7 days of power numbers and came up with some.
Were you as prophetic as
What's
you
that?
were against Baylor?
Yeah, I don't know. But I think what the reality is just that. There's no other agreement we can give you based on scoreboard. It's 21-0 Oklahoma last Saturday, and I guess what we needed to do, we had to find a way to get off the field, and when we did that, we had success. When we didn't, the opposing team did. So, it might be minimizing, but it doesn't make it any less true.
What specific qualities stand out to you about Hubbard?
I think obviously it's the home run. It's the one missed tackle that turns into a 90-yard run, an 80-yard run, on and on and on. He runs like a track guy, but also has the power element to it, and that's the thing I've been really just studying it this week and seen him on TV and seen some highlights. But you can't put him in the category of just a speed guy. He runs strong. he breaks tackles with his feet and also by lowering his pad. So that's when you draw up a tailback, that's how they're supposed to look.
You can't really scout that in practice, can you?
Well, you can't, and so what you run into so often in practice is the play doesn't get started. You're playing, and it shouldn't. If one of the what I like to think is one of the better defenses in the Big 12 are playing our scout team guys. Play shouldn't get started very often, or one of our guys is not either in the gap or not playing physical enough. And so in any event, that feels real good Monday through Friday, and then all of a sudden on Saturdays you got to respect the fact that plays certainly will, and so you can't be demoralized by a 5-yard gain, and quite frankly you can't be demoralized by a 10-yard gain. You got to find a way to get stopped after those. Because he is that talented, and to suggest that again every play is going to get snuffed out in the backfield is naive, and that we can't set that expectation.
Alex, how did Caleb look?
I thought he looked good. I did. I thought he looked comfortable. A guy that's played a lot of football like you expect him would, and he's practiced that way. I mean, I think you see flashes of him running. I think his confidence level in the knee is as good as it's going to be. A lot of times those guys hate wearing knee braces because that's just. It's from a safety standpoint, it's not from a need standpoint.
You said something interesting last week that it's so rare to kind of rev a guy up to get him ready to play so late in the year. And it is kind of a rare deal.
It is.
He's an interesting guy. Seems to handle a lot of different things.
Well, it is, and he's just been so engaged. And Coach Oldham's met with him, individually and stuff like that to kind of equate the meeting room type of thing with him when he wasn't able to perform on the practice field and all those things. And so that's been a real benefit that way. And yeah, you're not talking about a guy that's fresh off the street and then just playing his first snaps of college football. So that's a little bit unique. But that 4-game redshirt, this is not how you envisioned it being played out. But I think it'll work out for him and for us.
How do you get a guy, Kenneth Murray, for example, to play as fast as he does